minigame.
So I have been looking around in the own game that I own, the environment and everything. I've been also looking at theories that have come out recently. Obviously, Game Theory hasn't made a video on this just yet. I've been also discussing here. Oh, Broken Gaming's actually replied to me. Hold on, let me get that up on screen.
Hello.
That's not what I need. I need mine. Thank you. So that's a good point. I didn't mention it in the video, but I wish I did. I used this comment as the follow-up. So while we do see glitch traps hand within the unmasked sections, they're still part of the game where we are clicking on the monitor to access the files, so the actual things we are experiencing in those levels are virtual. Yeah, that actually does make sense. So there was this part in here that Rem Game says is that we see glitch trap not in the real world, but in virtual only, and I'm like, well, he uses like augmented reality. Um so I just mentioned that. I was like, okay, that's just weird that you said it that like that. But thank you, Rem Games, for actually uh say actually responding to what I asked. Um I'm not gonna rewatch the whole video, but yeah, it's just I do understand it now that yes, the games are virtual. Um and even in the main one when the ending he says that the ending that happens with wanted 2 endings. So videos. There you go. So he says this ending doesn't exist because, to be fair, when we do this, we're still in have the mask on. So yeah, both endings do happen with the mask on, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure if you do the other ending, you have the mask on. Let me go here. But there is one thing that I've noticed and people have not mentioned that I've seen so far that hasn't mentioned. Yeah, so we're in we're in VR, not VR. We are wearing the mask when we go into Princess Quest as well. So say what you want there. Okay. So yeah, that's what's happening. Move this. Pause this.
Minigame, we actually get to see the last exit interview of this employee, which
So what Tom actually says in this one so far is that Cassie's dad is the person that is talking about finding the arcade cabinets for Princess Quest. Um Obviously there's holes in that, some logic stuff, but not that bad of an argument compared to what I've heard some like Cassie being the main thing. I'm like, well, there's no real way unless probably the Brazil ending, maybe not even. Um, but it does make sense to have other options because it is boiling down that people are agreeing it's between Cassie and Cassie's dad. That is the big thing that is like going there. Who we play as. Um, Obviously we can't use the mini games as actual like evidence because that's stupid to think of because you're going into the games. You're not going around, so they don't see the body actually. And I will go into VR to look around a little bit more. But there is I'm trying to think of what the frick it's called. Glamrock Bonnie. His plushie is next to Golden Freddy's memory. By the way, just the memory thing is a little bit weird in general. So yeah, it says right here, retrieve a memory. Which the funny thing is, this was my first one, which was this. That's a weird way to phrase that. Find an alternate log ride flume. Not path, flume. Actually presentable, yeah. It'll throw me in the arena. This is the stuff I've unlocked so far. Obviously, I'm going to do more. Consult the Mystic Hippo. Hit 20 ball targets. Obviously, get jump scared is the first one. I see this, and I haven't beaten all the game. At the time I got that, I didn't beat all the mini games. I still haven't beaten all the mini games. I need to do that. So let's just go here. So shoot a server with the sauce gun. Pretty much easy. Details. Sorry. Smash 8 light bulbs. Nothing important there. Giving every ingredient station staff bot a break with a round. Within a round. That's like cutting it really close, isn't it? Shoot those plush babies. They had it coming. Is it that we shoot the plush baby on the stage? Because in Phaser Blast, you can shoot them and all that, and I've done that multiple times. But you also get a prize with plush baby. It says plush, shoot those plush babies. So I don't know. Eat your patient's candy. I thought I did that, but whatever. Get the endos together for a group photo. I don't know if that's talking about movie theater or the endo game matching one. I'm gonna assume movie theater since they're all in front. Yeah, I haven't done that game yet. Serve food after dropping it. Think how many times I played that mini game. I would have it. Take this mask. Take this mask. That's batteries not included. That's one of the endings. Complete all possible first aid tasks. Okay, system threats found. Repair complete. So, by the way, complete all possible first aid tasks. That is, you can play through the whole thing and most likely just get it in all. If you're going sequentially through each one, you should be able to just play each one once and get them all. I've seen that on a lot of like channels, but anyways, system threats found. Repair complete. So system threats found. Repair complete. So yeah, it is killing Glitchtrap, at least in Pizzaplex or the mask, but that doesn't make sense. Because if it's about the mask, which wouldn't really make sense, but that would have to be that it takes after Ruin, which these games are no. This game version is known for doing that. But there's a lot of things saying that it could have been showing also times between the two games, like for Roxy's makeup when we take off the mask and play it then. Because you give her the security node. You are what you eat. You ate the glue. What is wrong with you? Glue? What glue? Bonnie mask? That's weird. So the game is just asking the question. Lost luggage. Lost luggage, though. So it must be something that we had beforehand. So it could be Cassie's dad just from that alone. Anyways, moving on. I want to do that, but I'm also terrified to do that. Bowl of turkey. Oh, that's 2 strikes in a row, right? Is that 3? Make a Monty costume. Monty understudy. Again with the understudy. Seeing red. Did you know there are 2 mallets? That one I know how to get. Roxy. Wait. Paint a staff bot. Roxy and Shattered Roxy with all dark green makeup. It's not easy. Third parts of Helpia and animatronic. Hold on. So people are more likely to boop Funtime Freddy's nose than it is to do this. That's really weird. Give the carny what it deserves. I'm gonna assume that has to do with dating the FNAF 2 minigame. Eat edible objects in the game forever and ever and ever. Get all prizes from the claw machine. Don't I have this one? No, I don't because I haven't beaten all the mini games. Yeah. So yeah, we'll go into that a little bit later. I'm gonna watch some more theories.
Makes you ask the question of how it got there, unless this employee was still returning. And suddenly it made sense as to why there were so many hideouts throughout the game. It was because this person, who is Cassie's dad, kept returning and was hiding in plain sight to not get caught. This would also explain the note left behind by her dad, as shown in Ruin, which implies that he will be gone for a while. And then every single detail we knew about Cassie's dad started adding up. The first time we are ever introduced to her dad is through the Faz wrench, establishing that he is a technician who works for the Pizzaplex. In that same game, we are introduced to the Vanny mask, and its description in the inventory literally mentions that it used to belong to a technician. Factoring in this detail with what Help Wanted 2 shows us, with us literally giving the mask to Cassie, and also us literally using the Faz wrench in the same game, it is such an obvious indication as to what it is supposed to be implying. If we take the connection that Cassie's dad is also a technician, we can apply that to the maintenance logs about the arcade conspiracy. They are maintenance logs. The only type of person who would have those type of authorization would be a technician doing maintenance on arcade machines. And evidence doesn't even stop there. In Ruin, it is established for some reason that her dad collects 1980s memorabilia connected to Fazbear Entertainment. And guess what we do in Help Wanted 2? A big plot point is literally collecting old items from the 1980s. Old figurines. The connections just get stronger, and the biggest connection to top.
Actually, that's a good point there. That is a really weird concept that they went with, but yeah, it does make sense because it is the same thing that happened in Ruin with Cassie finding those things, and they're in AR. They're not real. They're AR items, which is strange, and I'll go into probably a little bit later if I remember.
It all is her dad's favorite character, Bonnie. In Help Wanted 2, there's an achievement you can get upon finding a secret Bonnie mask. This Bonnie mask has a text that says, "This looks familiar," and you receive an achievement called Lost Luggage. This directly implies that there is a connection between the protagonist and Bonnie, irrefutably proving that we play as Cassie's dad. But also something else about Cassie's dad. I'm gonna bring you back to Scott's rule of clarification right now. In Ruin, one of the biggest theories was by MatPat, where he talks about the idea that Cassie's dad is the Bonnie bully from Fnaf 4. Now the thing is, Scott definitely saw this theory because it was talked about a lot, which means he could clarify or confirm this in the next installment, which just so happened to conclude with the protagonist, Cassie.
I thought Scott was not barely even a part of this anymore. Obviously, it's his story still, but I thought he was barely a part of it because he was having a backseat drive. So yeah, that's my interesting take on that. Pretty sure they haven't been doing the same mentality that they have with what Scott has done with their storytelling. But they could be, since it's still like one of Scott's main games or a part of it, so I don't know.
His dad receiving a Bonnie mask. In no way would he include this if it wasn't to further confirm this theory. It is clear as day that Scott's intention is to show that not only did Cassie's dad kill Glitchtrap, but that he is also the same Bonnie bully from Five Nights at Freddy's 4. And once again, looking back, everything started adding up. All of the connections to Fall Fest, all the connections to FNAF 4, all the connections to the early 80s, Fredbears.
Which, if I remember correctly, those posters were real items in Ruin, not AR items, if I remember correctly, which is weird that they're down there, but
all of it started connecting when you realize that it all ties back to that event. Because Cassie's dad is the Bonnie bully. But I already know what you're thinking. Wouldn't Cassie's dad be too old to have a child by the time of Security Breach if he was a teenager by FNAF 4? No, actually. He would actually be a pretty average age. If we go off of Tales from the Pizzaplex, which establish that the Pizzaplex first opened 1 year after Freddy's closed its doors, that would place the opening around 2024. And then let's say we round up the events of Security Breach happening around the late 2020s to 2030. By the time of FNAF 4, which takes place in 1983, if we estimate his age to be around 14, meaning he would be born around 1969, if we subtract the age difference, he would be around his mid to late 50s by the time of the events of Security Breach. Meaning if we consider Cassie to be around 12 years old, that would mean that he would have had Cassie
Yeah, because
in his late 40s.
I'm 19 now, and my parents are in their 50s. So yeah, that actually kind of makes sense.
This is not abnormal, especially when you consider that Scott Cawthon, the writer of the series, is in his late 40s and is still having children. And so despite all of this fitting together, I still had one nagging question. There was something eating at me to try to figure out, and it has to do with that thing. That Nightmare On plushie keeps appearing everywhere, watching us where we go. It even appears in Princess Quest 4. You even have the staff bots within your dreams written on it. There is some connection between Nightmare On and dreams. Let alone, going back to Ruin, there is some established connection between Nightmare On and Cassie. There's a description for the Nightmare On plush where Cassie recognizes it from the VR game. Why bring this up unless there was some connection? A connection between Nightmare On, Cassie's dad, and nightmares. And also, ultimately, VR. And given this was Help Wanted 2, the sequel to the first VR game, there had to be a connection. And so I went back to Help Wanted 1 and found that connection.
Jeremy complained of nightmares when he came in this morning. He wasn't talking about it like someone telling a friend about his dreams, though. He was pale.
Jeremy had nightmares, reoccurring nightmares. The whole phrase in Help Wanted 1 was, "Remember Jeremy." And guess what? In Help Wanted 2, you get an achievement upon getting specifically the Bonnie plush, which reads, "Remember Jeremy." And suddenly, the entire story came full circle.
So I wanted to speak about this. Hey Omega. I actually thought when I was going through the achievements, when I saw Remember Jeremy just like that, I actually thought, because more likely we're playing as a male character this time, I was like, wait, is this actually asking the character? Do you remember? Because they're memories. You collect memories, not like other things. It's memories. Which he said this at the beginning of the video. There's a story that goes that this kid had no idea who about really anything that happened at school when he died. He was living his life like normal, except for obviously his dad didn't talk to him as much. Only no other students saw him. I don't think the teachers even recognized it, even knew about him. It was only like one kid and all that, and then they completely forgot about him. And then he starts remembering what happened. Closer and closer he gets to his body, which I feel like is what they're kind of going for in this, because we've seen lately a lot of things are coming from the books now for story wise. Just for example, obviously they're not canon to the game, but the movie that came out was kind of taken off from the Fourth Closet, and obviously that trilogy of books, and then we had something else in there. I can't remember exactly. They had references to books in the movie recently, so I'm thinking they're starting to take that and run with it, since the new books, the Tales of the Pizzaplex, are a lot more closer to what the game is, I think they're going to start trying to combine the two and try to use more what the books are saying than, you know, having the books based off of the games more. But yeah, I think this is trying to remind Jeremy, which I'm going to call Cassie's dad from now on for now, that you are trapped. You're dead, but you're still, you're trapped. You're in this software. So obviously we've seen that souls can go into softwares and all that just by, how the old games work. So we think if anything is going to be possessed in the games up to now, is by Jeremy, most likely.
Circle. There is a reason why this is the sequel to Help Wanted 1. Not just traditionally because it is a VR game, it is literally continuing the story. Cassie's dad is Jeremy. And I'm already hearing, didn't Jeremy die? Didn't he cut his face off? I mean, that was never actually confirmed. That was just an assumption we made off of a very popular theory. One of the main points behind this being that there was a lawsuit, and the assumption is that it is because Jeremy died. But it would make no sense that he would be suing for his own suicide. The company would not be liable at all for his own self-infliction. The other point that's made about this is the guillotine's paper slicer and the quote-unquote mask that is assumed to be his face. But number one, I don't really see how you can cut your own face off with a paper slicer, and also, in no way would the mask still be fitting on if he had no skin. They would just completely slide off. The important distinction to note is that the mask is specified as a Halloween mask, with the DLC following this game literally being Halloween themed, where you, under the glitch trap influence, make a mask. It feels intentional to me. That being said, Fall Fest literally being
that actually makes a lot more sense now.
I mean, come on now. You have Fall Fest post.
I hate to say this, but I think by going off of that logic, most likely because of how recent this mask is so important now, I think the DLC for Help Wanted 1 is Jeremy's story. Of, I guess, his past, technically. And then mixed with Fazbear and all that. Because obviously we have the mini games that are basically dealing with being in a Fazbear establishment. But others are just like nightmares, or what's the other word? Plushies? Some are plushies, some are nightmares, some are just pumpkins. But yeah, that's what I find interesting about that. That could be what happened, actually, and we just never realized. I do want to say that from Security Breach, there was a name that was Jimmy, and they actually brought it up here, so now we know it wasn't actually a kid. We don't know who, obviously, but it doesn't matter because it's just a single kid out of no one. But yeah.
In Help Wanted 2, there's an obvious connection to Halloween here. When it comes to the phrase "remember Jeremy," that does not necessarily mean because he is dead. And given the fact there was so much discussion on him being fired in the tapes, it only makes sense that that would come around to actually being the case. Remember Jeremy doesn't actually need to mean because he is dead. In fact, it could be a reminder for the future. Under this, it would make total sense that Jeremy would become important if he was the first one to get away from Glitch Trap. The fact he would be a beta tester for Silver Parasol doesn't actually mean anything either, because while under this he is a technician for Fazbear Entertainment, Vanessa was also a tester, but she transferred over to security, so if that can work, I don't see why this can't. That being said, it would also give a motive for Jeremy to return because he is trying to stop Glitch Trap, and that's when something hit me. Candy Cadet. Every single appearance of Candy Cadet throughout the franchise has always told a story that corresponds to the plot of the game that it's in or something relating to the player. In Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator, it connected to the 5 children being inside Molten Freddy. In Ruin, it connected to the Mimic luring Cassie. But here, there is still a pretty big question. Here's what Candy Cadet says.
Now let me tell you a story about a young woman who, when she was little, was led into a dark forest by a witch and almost eaten. She had fallen for the friendly voice without discernment and was led astray. She had escaped before being thrown into the oven, but would have a scar for the rest of her life. When she had grown, she sought revenge on the witch and entered the forest again willingly, this time with the confidence of age and experience. She was greeted at the mouth of the forest by a young boy who offered to help guide her through the darkness. She welcomed the help and followed the young boy over the river, through the jagged trees, and toward a small house. Come, the boy said. Rest here before killing the witch. The young woman was tired and would kill the witch in the morning. She followed the boy into the house. The oven door closed. The witch would finally have her meal.
Hearing this, I think everyone assumes that the little boy in the story is Gregory and that the girl is Vanessa, and that Gregory is luring her. But that doesn't necessarily make sense because this is the story about Cassie's dad. What does this have to relate to the plot of the game whatsoever? But then I realized if Jeremy is Cassie's dad, this makes sense. The beginning mentions a scar left behind. That would mean that the woman is a stand-in for Jeremy. The woman getting away from the
So he has a point. A lot of times, Candy Cadet is not literal one-to-one to what he is trying to tell in a story. For example, the 5 Things in One stories, they were never about, 5 cats or 5, what is it? There was other stuff. There was also the kids, but they weren't like the kids of the murder victims that were put into what's the name, into oh my god, not Molten Freddy, that's what it is, all put into Molten Freddy. So that's that. And then yeah, he's never been forward on what he means, so most likely it could not even be about women. It could have been tricked by could have been tricked by a girl. Could have been anything. It could be because obviously the woods thing doesn't make sense because obviously that wouldn't be part of the story. But that doesn't mean we can't look at the people that are getting talked about as well, because that is also a trend in Candy Cadet.
The witch would be exactly as we said before, Jeremy escaping from Help Wanted but still being scarred by the incident. Jeremy would return to the Pizzaplex to try to stop Glitchtrap by finding the arcades. But then where does the little boy come in? That's when I thought, maybe it's the princess. We all assume that the little boy is malicious, but I don't actually see where that is coming from when the ending is so sudden. And one pretty important detail is that the boy is mentioned to guide her through the darkness. That key detail corresponds to exactly what the princess does, using the Sword of Light.
Use the key to confront the darkness.
And finally, them reaching the end and the witch getting her meal would be indication that Jeremy ended up dying. Not necessarily that Cassidy is evil. Him trying to find the arcades and going down into FFPS would have outright led him into a trap, and that's what happened. The witch would finally have her meal, and Glitchtrap would finally have control of Jeremy. And finally, with all that, it seemed like every single game since Help Wanted came together. Every single character that we had been introduced to came full circle. And that Jeremy's story started in Help Wanted 1 and led into Help Wanted 2. It would give a connection to Cassie's dad and why he is important. It would also give a reason to why Cassie's dad would be important enough to even kill Glitchtrap in the first place. But still deep inside of me, there was this one lingering question that kept nagging at me, and I couldn't exactly pinpoint what it was. In 2019, Help Wanted 1 came out. A year prior, in 2018, Fnaf 6 and Ultimate Custom Night had just released, and there was one big confusing question: the gravestones. The gravestones seemingly starting to show that there was more than one Jeremy. This sudden inclusion confused people, and there started to be theories that maybe Jeremy or Fritz are just names of Michael. So then I started thinking, the game right after this, we start seeing the name Jeremy again. Why would you make a third Jeremy in the same time period right after there is discussion on what this name means? And then I remembered.
Here, if I'm wrong or anything, there's Jeremy that we play as, I think, for one day. I can't remember exactly, in FNAF 2, right? Because we assumed that was the bite victim of 87 for a while. Mike is the name of the first game's security guard. I think it's Mike Fritz or something like that. No, it's Mike Smith, right? So I'm trying to remember, because we have the gravestone of that, and that is also Jeremy is the person that I think that possesses Bonnie, right? Of the kids. It's weird that it's still Jeremy after all this time with Bonnie as the main thing. So that's just my weird thought.
The last time we were introduced to a guard's name again, it was in Sister Location with Mike, revealing that Michael Afton and Mike Schmidt were the same person. Hearing the name Michael was enough for us to put the pieces together and realize that Mike Schmidt was Michael Afton. This was the same Michael all this time. So then I started asking myself, why didn't we just think the same thing here too? What if there really is just only two Jeremys? What if Jeremy Fitzgerald is the Bonnie bully and Cassie's dad? And I know you're already going to ask, wasn't Jeremy the victim of the bite of 87? Well, there's actually something that goes against this. In the survival logbook, there's a page that has a prompt from Jeremy Fitzgerald himself, mentioning that he was moved to the day shift. This is mentioned in past tense, meaning that he definitely did not get bitten. Why else would you include this? One of the main arguments paid that has a prompt from Jeremy Fitzgerald himself, mentioning that he was moved to the day shift. This is mentioned in past tense, meaning that he definitely did not get bitten. Why else would you include this? One of the main arguments against the bite of 83 being bite of 87 was that having a frontal lobe would not have you remember things or be able to dream. So in this case, why would it be the same for Jeremy? Unless he was just not bitten. And then I realized the perfect irony of Withered Bonnie missing his face in that game. You are the Bonnie bully. It's a sick irony, in a way showcasing that the world is against you. And even the ages matches up. If we consider Bonnie Bully to be at least 14 by 1983, he will be 18 by the time of FNAF 2, which is the youngest you can possibly be to get a security license. It also made total sense as to why Jeremy would be testing the game anyways. It's almost as if they contacted him because he was a guard. What other good reference point would you want other than getting a guard who used to work at Freddy's? Then the final piece clicked in my head. FNAF 2 introduced the puppet. And one thing we keep seeing throughout the Steel Wool games is Nightmare On. A nightmare version of the puppet, one that can move anywhere. And it finally clicked. Nightmare On was a hint. Nightmare On is Jeremy's burning reminder of the horrible things he did. He helped Michael kill the bite victim. And through his guilt over the years, this puppet would haunt him. Confronting it once again in the VR game would obviously stick with him, following him everywhere, reminding him of his past as a security guard, something he will not be able to escape. It's even...
Yeah, but that wouldn't explain Gregory seeing all of them, though. That wouldn't explain Gregory seeing all of it in Security Breach. Maybe Cassie, yeah, if I don't remember if there is any in Ruin. It makes sense in this game, though, for them to show up if that's true. But it doesn't make sense for Gregory seeing it if that's the case.
Even there in Princess Quest 4, and then suddenly every single reference to FNAF 2, everything about rabbits, everything about masks. It all started making sense. This story was about
I did not have my
Jeremy.
mic
He
on
was a
muted. I am
loose
so
end.
sorry about that.
And throughout all these years, he kept coming back, collecting items, trying to find some closure to the thing that he helped cause. And the princess's quest was his way of finding closure. He could save one of the children, Cassidy. And guess who a big integral plot of FNAF 2 is?
Someone used one of the suits. We had a spare in the back, a yellow one. Someone used it. Now none of them are acting right.
Golden Freddy. Jeremy and Golden Freddy met, which lines up what he says to the princess in one of the logs. The princess will recognize me. Even in FNAF 2, one of the big things was the theme of arcades, the death minigames, just like Princess Quest. And once Golden Freddy and Jeremy finally met once again, they worked together to end this story that had been haunting them. That, to me, is a satisfying conclusion.
I do really like that narrative. That narrative is actually really well thought out. And actually would be really cool if all of that is actually true. And giving Cassie's dad a name and being a character we've actually known for all this time would be really cool. Okay. Where is it? Boop.
Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in. This is
What's
Just
this
with
about?
Loretronic, and boy, this video is gonna have you spring locked to the edge of your seats. When the world got its first glimpse of the new Security Breach DLC known as Ruin, we were introduced to a new character joining the franchise, Cassie. Who is she? How does she know Gregory? Has she been
Alright, let's get this out of the way. Full disclosure, I didn't initially plan on making this video. I'm not a theorist, I only speculate when I feel like it. And when I don't want to talk about something, then you better believe that I still haven't made a goal.
Hey, Freddy, so we've gone over that, what's it? Jeremy from the first Help Wanted game, the one that gets mentioned, could possibly be, Cassie's dad. If you want to know more explanation, it's earlier in the live stream. The video that is somewhere around here, but we're gonna listen to this person. They say they're not theorists, so either I'm not. Well, I say I am and not at the same time. But I don't make proper theory videos. I just not doing that. Anyways, so yeah.
Golden Freddy video. But I did a poll on what Help Wanted 2 video to make. And I noticed in the comments that some folks were confused about the game's endings. And hey, me too. I thought it was only me. But out of curiosity, I rewatched the endings again while
Okay, so I want to put this. So I watched one video that said that this ending and obviously the other one aren't real. Obviously, that's true, except for this is actually happened. This has happened already. Not already, but this has happened in another game. Funny enough, as a DLC. Where this mask again was introduced as a DLC, not a main game thing, which it was reintroduced again afterwards in a DLC. It's strange that they did it this time as the main game for the mask, but something tells me that it is supposed to be about Jeremy, from the whole thing about how technically we don't know if actually Jeremy died in the first game. But then we get this again with the achievements. With Remember Jeremy, which has only been referenced in the Help Wanted games. If I'm remembering correctly, is that they're only the Help Wanted games. Is this Remember Jeremy? And this time it's Retrieve a Memory. What was the other one? I think it was just let's see here. I'm pretty sure this is where the Nightmare Bonnie is, that one, but anyway. Choking Hazard. I don't think it's in this one. I don't think it's in this one. No, I don't think that could have been a thing like before. But I don't. It doesn't really matter what Mystic Hippo was supposed to be. It's a side character basically. It's not too important to the story. What Mystic Hippo has said is important, but not. Complete the prize corner. Find all tokens. Eat. Pest control. Showtime. Celebrate. Actually, I've gotten this. I've gotten recreate the main stage show. Don't lie to me. I know I've gotten that. Oh, I must have gotten that on the PlayStation, not. Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, it was in the game. It would be on the screen. Remember, Jeremy. So yeah, but the weird thing is, yeah, the Red Bears DLC was an interesting part of it where we found the mask. But all the games in it were much different than what it was before. Like it was personal, almost. Obviously, with the stage where it goes into back to the FNAF 1 place, I can't explain why Jeremy would know that, because we know about Jeremy in FNAF 2 that supposedly we don't know if died or not. Again, by the way, in that storyline there, so we can assume that this could be the same Jeremy just by the way that it's themed around, where we don't know if actually that person died or not, because I can't remember what book it was in. They mentioned it in one of the videos, but it says that he was moved there, but there was nothing about him dying. We just assumed he was the 1987 fight victim, but it wasn't important back then, so I don't think Scott really cared to elaborate on it, which makes sense. When that comes up, I'll do it. But going all the way back to saying, oh, why would he be giving it here? Your hand doesn't move the hand of the bot at all. So most likely, if he is giving the mask to Cassidy, he can be remembering, if he is dead at this point, because most likely he is, to fix what he started, or simply thinking that it would help her without realizing what's going on. But most likely, he's being forced to watch this because he has no control over anything anymore. Most likely, than actually being able to interact with stuff. But the interesting thing that one video brought up that was in before as well was that it's also noticed that we think that Cassidy, it was even in the files of Security Breach for a little bit, Cassidy is the princess in those games, but in Princess Quest in the first, in Help Wanted on the mobile device, we think that's Vanessa. So, moving on to, there's 4 games of Princess Quest in total. First one we see in both, I think 2 iterations of it, in Help Wanted mobile, and then also, what's it called? Security Breach. Then we see the second one is Security Breach, which is continuing that story of trying to fight and find it. And the fourth one is cutting off the main circuit on the third game. And then this fourth one is about completely destroying the virus, because, well, at least in the system, because if I find out the achievement here, the achievement for finding that ending is consequences, and it has a thin line under it as well. Where is this is the main ending. Take the smash, which is accurate, so that's why I'm saying this. Where is it? Here we go. Consequences. System threats found. Repair complete. So that's what I'm feeling off of this. Is he finds Cassidy, and they join up together to get this virus out with Vanessa or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. I don't have enough evidence to tell a story with that. So, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go to Help Wanted, the normal version. Not in Steam mode. Not normal version. Normal version would be VR. I mean flat mode, and go into the DLC to show you guys something. I'm pretty sure if I'm remembering this right. Oh, they added that. Wait, what? That's new. Okay, that was weird. We're gonna brand this up all the way just so we can see. Anyways, that was weird. You still there, Foxy? Sure. Oh crap. Okay. So it didn't remember any of my progress, which is lovely. Is there any way to skip this?
Welcome to the Freddy Fazbear Virtual Experience. Fazbear Entertainment.
Yeah, while that's going, I'm gonna keep talking. Does anyone else have any other theories that they can they want to talk about? I do see you guys. I was just in the middle of talking, so I didn't say anything. So there is also a lack of, like, it's weird that even this is mentioned here, is the Fredbear, and then a fake thing here. Remember that picture. But nightmares were also a lot with Jeremy. He had nightmares and all that. Trying to think. And he would be around the same time that the crying child had the nightmares, technically. Or Michael, you can say as well. Because they both were they could have been both a part of the same experience, with Jeremy being the Bonnie bro? Yeah, come on. So, I think we can all agree at this point that the one that is being mainly played at this point, at least here, is Vanessa, which is the main one. But here with this, it gives me more of a feeling of personal stuff. Like, hold on, let me unmute the game again. So there is the thing of, can I get closer? Okay. But yeah, this is still all the same and all that, which makes it feel like we're still playing with Vanessa. But the weird thing is, Vanessa wouldn't be alive for Fall Fest 83. It would make no sense for a game company in that universe to make a Fall Fest thing. So that's why it feels more personal. And then in Help Wanted 2, there is a lot of references to Fall Fest. To even earlier in the timeline, too. Because we got Build a Mangle, Trick or Treat has the Withered characters, which I also want to mention that a lot of FNAF 2 was involved in this DLC, which was really weird. Wait, is there? And there was purple here that was never explained at all. forget the door is open. But yeah, this was never explained. Anyways, so the hallway with the nightmare animatronics were added in as well, which they would have been traumatized by the bite. I can't give you an explanation for this one. It is the nightmare animatronics again, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's two of the nightmare ones from the Halloween edition, which could be just a play here, but we're in the FNAF 1 location, which wouldn't make sense. So yeah. I just wanted to mention that. So if anyone has theories, please tell me. Really hard to see on these cameras. Yeah, when we die, I'll see if I can die real quick. There's the chance of Jeremy. I know I said I would die, but yes, it's very strange to me that this is very personal and is a lot more affiliated with the Help Wanted 2. Oh. But there's also this purging system, which is also named again in Help Wanted 2. Also, Dreadbear was never, like, explained. Either is Grim Foxy, but I don't feel like Grim Foxy really needs explanation. Anyways. Very interesting how it still feels very personal. Like, obviously this wouldn't make sense, but it could be that Jeremy's like mixed into it, but I don't know. Because obviously it's still the Mimic doing stuff here, because we can see the grave and everything. That's glitched. I mean Glitch Trap. I'm talking about like the Mimic 1 program that turned into Glitch Trap. And we find the mask in this game. Obviously we can go over to here and be able to use the mask with the plush. I don't know why this reset my progress, but whatever. Yeah. And that also, I do find it weird that night terrors was a thing, but that could just be that it was the first time. I would like to leave the game completely, please. What was the description of this game originally? Oh yeah, this was also weird as well. With it being even hinting that security breach was what's it called? In the universe of Help Wanted. So yeah. Going back to the store page for this, seeing what it reads. I have not
Time
actually
to
read the
clock in.
description of this.
The first day at a new job can be done.
Thank you. We're just gonna do this. I don't feel like reading like that.
Find out if you have what it takes to be a Fazbear Entertainment superstar. Five Nights at Freddy's. Help Wanted 2 is the sequel to the terrifying VR experience that brought new life to the iconic horror franchise. As a brand new Fazbear employee, you'll have to prove you have what it takes to excel in all aspects of pizzeria management and maintenance. Go backstage as a VIP to help Roxanne Wolf and the STAFF bots get ready for their performances in the Pizzaplex salon. Head into the Fazcade and enjoy classic games like Bonke Bon and Phaser Blast. See if you can top all the high scores. Take care of things behind the scenes in the staff-only section of the pizzeria. Deliver first aid to patients who aren't quite feeling themselves. And help animatronics perform routine diagnostics and maintenance. Our food prep courses will help you get the federally mandated amount of value preparing food in the Pizzaplex. Experience all the joys of high-speed food service and get ready to feed some hungry bots. Head over to the ticket booth to test out our e-ticket attractions, such as Captain Foxy's Cowboy Adventure. On this light-hearted log ride, you'll float through the Old West as a gunslinger in search of booty. And finally, if you're short on dread, dive into the world of our sister location. These special mini-games are VR versions of classic experiences from Five Nights at Freddy's, sister location. These fan favorites brought to life promise to be as fun as they are terrifying. So what are you waiting for? Five Nights at Freddy's, Help Wanted 2 is now accepting applicants for all positions, effective immediately.
So interestingly, I've been seeing around that they've said in this that you're the only human. But the weird part is it doesn't mention that here. So that's a little weird. Yeah, that's really weird. Now going through what we know about the game.
Anxiety-inducing and downright
Go through the
terrifying.
through
Fazbear
the trailer.
Entertainment is different. We are invested in you. At a Fazbear location, you are given the opportunity to find your lane. What interests you? Customer service? Technical support? Safety and security?
So even in the trailer, they were saying something's off about this game and all that. So that's interesting.
Game testing? Perhaps test driving one of our ride attractions. Maybe you are more suited to glamour and fashion with service to the stars. Try a little of everything and find what speaks to you. Whatever it may be, there's only one way to find out.
Why show this? Why show this from the log ride out of anything else? It's really weird. Yeah, it's literally just that. Why? And I think that's the only one that like glitches too. No, it doesn't. Okay. Good enough.
Now accepting applications.
That is a cool screenshot. I don't remember her ever doing that. This I can see you can get. It's really hard to get that, but yeah, I can see it. Okay. So I've been doing this for an hour and 27 minutes. So I'm gonna end the stream here. If you want to have any of your own comments be read or thought about, just put them in the